This time on Shift Points, the 55 truck gets tuned, and we're this close to Power Tour. Thanks for joining. So last time you guys saw us get the doors hand lettered on the truck. That just turned out absolutely perfect, and I know we talked about that some in the last video, but while we were there I told you guys that Dad's friend was just telling stories that I just thought were just super crazy, because they were just, he was telling them just like it was no big deal, and some of the stuff that he was telling us was definitely a big deal and super cool. And the one that really stood out the most to me, he told just completely nonchalant, like it was no big deal at all. He was telling us that he was 19 years old. He knew the guy that did the hand-lettered signs at the Daytona Speedway in Daytona, Florida. He said that he talked to him, and this is paraphrasing the story, of course, but he had talked to him and asked Dad's friend to put together a painting or a picture that could eventually go onto the programs for the Daytona races that year. So he actually did the program covers for the Daytona 500 in '68, the sports car race, the 24-hour race there, and then I think he said it was the motorcycles. But you guys know how much I love the history of NASCAR and NASCAR itself. So pretty much as soon as he got done telling this story, I got on eBay and started digging, and I was able to find one. It didn't get here in time for me to show it in the last video, so I wanted to quickly show it here. But this is a program from the 1968 Daytona 500. It is just super cool to kind of see this. The painting has Fred Lorenzen, Richard Petty, Mario Andretti, Fireball Roberts, who were the previous 4 winners of the Daytona 500 on it, and their respected cars as well on there too. So he was, like I said, he told that, and just like it was absolutely no big deal. And to actually get this and to see this from 1968, and for this to be able to kind of go with the truck and be with it, I just thought it was a perfect pairing. I know I guess that probably only makes sense in my mind, but to have this is just super cool, and for it to be done by the guy who lettered that truck, and so you guys can see it a little bit better there. There's a little bit of glare on the book that it's on, I know, or the cover that it's in, but I wanted to show that off because I thought it was really neat. And like I said, it didn't get here in time to show it in the last video, but definitely wanted to share that right away at the beginning of this one. So thanks you guys everyone for joining, and let's see what we can get done in this time. Well, today is finally the day. We are going to finally take the old 55 truck, take it up to Matt, and he's going to officially tune this thing. So we're going to head that way here pretty shortly. Like I said, Matt has already done wonders to the truck as it is. It's got a little bit of a surge. We had a couple little lean codes and stuff like that. I've worked on the fuel trims to kind of try and mitigate that, but it seems like I haven't done it well enough. So, but we're gonna take it up to him, go ahead and get it ready to be tuned. So we're gonna head up toward that way and see what he has to say about it. Well, Dad and Matt are out driving the truck. Me and him have already been out in it, and he's been working on it, man. I mean, what an amazing difference that he's done with this thing already, and he's definitely not even done yet. So, he had a little bit of a sputter and spit out of the exhaust on deceleration. He went in there and got that turned off so it would stop doing that. He's worked on the shift points. Hey. Worked out good, didn't it? Worked on the shift points of the transmissions, on the transmission itself, got it way firmer, got the points spread out where they really kind of need to be. It just all together better. Got it on the interstate, kind of was able to roll into it full throttle. It downshifts a lot better, a lot faster. The torque converter doesn't seem like it's kind of indecisive. It was at a point where it kind of acted like it didn't know where it wanted to be. He's got that fixed. It's just like a completely different truck. It's amazing. So him and Dad are out now. I'm very curious to see what he says when he gets back. So I'm going to catch him whenever they get back here and see what he thinks about it, because they're going to kind of do the same loop that we did. He's still scanning, collecting data. More data the better is what he was telling me. So of course it makes sense. Drive it more, scan it more, get more data, and you can make stuff even better. It's, yeah, super cool, super good dude. Excited to see what Dad has to say when he gets back here, so let's see what he says. What do you think? That's what I said. Yeah, it's way better. It's amazing. You don't try, you do, man.
You try, you do very well. So I gotta put that 55 mile per hour speed limiter on here, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you don't want to get this thing out of hand.
Probably better if you did that.
Did you go out on the interstate with it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, does good, doesn't it? That downshift is so much better. That's when that's just when it gets better.
I never stayed in long enough to get it to high gear. But
yeah, I don't. Oh, come on, man, it's great. I'm gonna get you to talk about it. I'm gonna get you to talk about it when we get done with this. Oh yeah. Tell me more about the car. So I've got some videos of it going around it and things like that. So tell me what the deal is on it. Just everything about it, or whatever you wanted me to know.
I mean, we got the car. I bought the car from Steve Ammons, and he lived down here in Canton.
You got that from Steve Ammons?
Yes, this was Steve Ammons' car.
Steve Ammons since the 70s.
He owned this car for a little over 10 years, and he never got to work on it. It was just a roller. There was no interior, no motor, no transmission. It was just a flat-out roller. And they put it up for sale one night, and I had another 66 I was going to build, but it was so far gone that it was just basically good for parts, and that was it. When this came up, we hit him up and asked him about it, drove the next day and went and bought it, brought it home, immediately ripped the front end off of it, took the rear end out of it, sold all that stuff, and ordered everything I needed for the front, the rear, subframe connectors, all the other fun, wonderful jazz, and just went to town doing what we needed to do with it to that.
It's nice.
But
so what all did you do? What all's under it?
Did a Mustang 2 front end on it, Viking coilovers all the way around, 4-link, subframe connectors. We did a TDS 9-inch rear end, so the actual housing and center chunk, everything is all aluminum. The only thing steel in that's the axle tubes.
Oh, cool.
So my friends Dennis and Jesse, we hauled to South Carolina. We cut out we replaced the firewall, the frame horns, and the floor in it. Put all that in brand hammer new. I mini tubbed it out of, and I used trailer fenders from Tractor Supply.
Oh, really?
Damn right.
Yeah.
Put new fenders on it. Put new lower quarters in it. When I got the car from Steve, it was in primer, but we wire wheeled the whole car down. There was not 1 ounce of Bondo in this car. It was
really?
all original sheet metal.
That's awesome.
All original.
That is awesome.
We've had to fix a few little hiccups here and there, but no big deal. But
it's a super cool car.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that Doug interviewed you up on Patton that day. I would have never known about you, I don't think, or probably wouldn't have, if it wasn't for the car and Doug coming to talk to you. So that's super cool.
I don't advertise.
Well, you probably don't have to. You do good work. You don't have to advertise.
No, me got.
So say all that again, Matt. I didn't have the camera on. You said that for me one time?
This is one of the original Christine bodies, Pro Mod bodies.
That's cool.
That's the original back end, original back quarters and everything of the car.
Yeah.
That's the mold to build the car off of. So if I ever have to replace panels and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's one of the original front ends, the original wing. And Dave was telling me that he's talking about possibly rebuilding this car back to the way it used to be as a nitrous car.
Really?
Just to take back for nostalgic racing.
Huh. That's awesome. That's super cool.
So he'll have the new Christine car, which is at the shop, which is at the body shop right now, getting done.
Is it a scale down? Is it a scale down version or is it full size?
It's full size Pro Mod.
I mean, did they cut the car? In 55, they cut the.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, the front end's longer and the rear end's shorter.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They scaled it in a little bit.
Right.
But They've also the new car is a full chromoly chassis or no, not chromoly. Carbon. I won't say it's chromoly, or it's either chromoly or they went to carbon fiber. The whole body is carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And I believe they narrowed the body in and they reduced it. I think they took 200 pounds out of the whole car.
It's amazing the stuff that's just around out here. There's just racing and stuff like this is just everywhere.
Live around here? Dave. Yeah, Dave's the owner. Chris Klein's the one that drives the car. It's Chris Klein Technologies down in Mooresville. That's where the car is at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Dave owns the car.
Crazy.
Yeah. But it's kind of a cool little thing, like I said, that I get to help with all this. We've got the motor for Christine over there right now. We got to finish putting it back together.
That's super cool.
No, it's a 561
Hemi car. Yeah, of course. That makes. Yeah, exactly.
Dave is Mopar or no car. I tell him all the time.
Well, we're heading home now. Like I said, Matt has done wonders on this truck. I can't even believe, and you're good. I can't even believe what all he's got done out of it. It's really amazing. But yeah, he said it was going to definitely get better fuel mileage. It's going to run better. Like I said, all the transmission, the shift points and all that stuff are just, yeah, everything's, it's like it's a completely different truck. So we're going to head home. He told us to let us know how it does on the way home. We thought it cruised pretty good on the way out here, so it's going to be it'll be interesting to see how much better it is, because we know it's going to be better on the way home. So we'll let you guys know when we get there. Whew, man, we're back. It feels like a very long time with some travel and different stuff that I had going on. It feels like it's been forever since we've been able to work on this thing. We took it and got it tuned the other day. You guys saw all that. Again, thanks to Matt. It's amazing the difference it has made. We are like 2 weeks away from Power Tour, basically. We got a lot of little odds and ends left on this thing. We need a power port, we need to fix the heater in case it rains, and we need the defroster. We need to put in at least some insulation in the roof and kind of in the firewall to try and keep a little more of this heat out of it, make it a little bit more drivable, more comfortable over this 1,000 miles we're about to go on. So a lot of things we still got to get done. Dad's been working on one thing, which is, you guys have seen the seat back that we're going to put in this thing, just the aluminum seat back for now, to give us that extra space. It was about 7 inches difference, and as you can tell, me and Dad are both pretty tall guys. I'm about 6 foot, he's probably 6'4". So we needed all the extra distance that we could get out of this thing, because with that big seat cushion we had, just not enough room for us to really fit and drive this thing comfortably, especially for long distance. So there's an aluminum back on it. He went ahead and got some Zeus fasteners for it. So what we'll do, and we've already got this piece, it's down here marked. He matched the angles or the curves on the seat back here. He matched that right there. So that's going to set basically flush around the whole perimeter of this now. He got these welded on this morning, and then all we've got to do is drill holes in those. And for those who haven't seen Zeus fasteners before, this is basically it. So this will get riveted into the seat back here. These will push through and it'll grab this, and then you twist these and it locks it in place. So it'll take and pull that piece of sheet metal back and hold it close to, or right tight against this frame, and that'll give a good solid rigid seat back so we can get this thing going. So we're gonna finish doing that, And then I'm going to show you guys what we're doing over here in the cab of the truck also, because we've still got, like I said, we've got quite a few little things that we're going to do there. So, alright, let's get going. So a couple of things while we did that. You do want these holes to be pretty round. So for those that don't know, the best way to get a round hole is using one of those step bits like we were using back here. I'll show you real quick. These step bits will actually give you a round hole in something like that, whereas if you use just a regular traditional drill bit like this, it's actually going to give you kind of an oblong shape, kind of an oval, basically an oval shape. So if you want a good round hole in something, use one of these step bits. And the other thing is that
Make it a little bigger.
have to make it a little bigger. Okay. The other thing that we did while we did that is once we got done with it, Dad's known about these for a long time, but I found out about them a couple years ago. These little deburr tools for holes like that size, super useful. You can take it and run it around the outside, and this is on a swivel, so you can see how that swivels like that. You can take and run that around the outside edge of that hole and deburr it really easily. But looks like we're going to have to open this hole up on that a little more, and then we can get this in place. But we'll go ahead and show you kind of what this is going to look like. It'll sit in here like this. It'll have these two fasteners. Those will get riveted in place here. This piece here will get riveted into the piece of sheet metal, and then this will push in and twist and lock. That'll pull this piece of sheet metal back and lock it down to the frame itself to make this very solid. While Dad is gathering this, I was going to quickly kind of show you how this works, so you can see how that blade will go around the outside, and if you push down on it, it'll actually, I don't have this held in place, push down on this, it'll actually kind of remove some of the metal there. Very useful little tool. So our spring here was sticking out a little too far, so Dad's going to take that pair of pliers and mash it in. That'll get it where it tightens it up a little bit more. So now, take that again. Pretty close.
There's a screwdriver.
Okay. I had one here. And grab a screwdriver. So you can hear it actually, yeah, it's good. So you can hear that actually lock in place whenever you do that. Let's show the other side. And then that's what it looks like on this side. And there's the finished product. Dad got the rivets in, he had some solid rivets. Got those held in. Those are in place now. Check out the back side here. So you can see kind of what the final piece looks like there and there. Now that piece is sturdily in place there, so won't try and do anything or come out or anything like that now. So it's a lot better than double-sided tape.
Yes.
Something that we have been delaying a little bit is the blower motor. You're like, why the heck are you gonna need a heater? It's gonna be June in Atlanta. Mainly as if it rains. If it rains and we need the defroster, we want to make sure that works. We ordered some ducting. I really hope it gets here in time. But the heater that the switch that I had, it was kind of old, and I honestly didn't know if it was a 12 or a 6 volt switch. So what we did is we were like, well, we're just going to get rid of any sort of variable speed. It's just going to be on off 12 volts. Put it to it and let it do its thing. Dad had some old switches here. So he had that right here, and basically what I'm going to do now is I've got the wire looped through. It had some holes through these posts, and I'm going to take the soldering iron, some solder, and get these soldered in place really well. And that actually fits perfectly where the knob for the radio was. So I'm going to put that right in one of those holes so that we can have easy access to it, but either one of us, so we can get that going. So So I'm gonna go ahead and get that soldered up and get this thing put in place and make sure that it works. So after I got the switch soldered up, I got it pulled in, got it installed here. Turn the light on. So we got this right here. Now it's on a switch 12 volts. So let me. Hurricane in here. So now the real question is that a 12 volt blower motor that we're pumping 12, or is that a 6 volt motor that we're pumping 12 volts into, and how long it'll last? So it's a heck of a hurricane blower motor if it is, if it'll survive. So that's one thing fixed, I guess, hopefully. The other thing that I have to do is we've got the windshield wipers like out of rotation. So so right now how it stands, if you look at it, the windshield wipers are down, but the motor itself is not where it needs to be. So they're only going through like a partial stroke rotation on the windshield wipers. So I've got to get in here and get that motor set to basically to 0, and then get the arms put on, or get the linkage put on, so that they'll go through a full rotation, and see if they're even going to be worth having. Might just have to grab a bunch of bottles of Rain-X and survive it for those 5 days. But that's what I'm going to get under here and take care of next. Well, I think this will work good, probably. No, I don't think it's going to work at all. I don't know if I get these adjusted properly, if they will even wipe good enough to even be effective. But I'm going to keep working on that linkage and see if I can get it adjusted where they at least go together and they don't do this. Alright, so we've been working on this thing again today. It's a little bit more not super exciting stuff. One thing we did do is there was a strip of bolts in the bed that holds these stainless strips in place, this one specifically, that we had not put bolts in. It was in a little bit of a difficult spot, so Dad was able to get up in the bed and hold the bolts down, and I was able to reach up above the fuel tank and actually get them started and then get them tight. So we got those in place, tightening up a few just other kind of loose ends. We noticed that turn our light on here, you notice that the emergency brake cable had come over here at one point and got against the wheel and or against the tire itself. So we got that pulled back in place, got that kind of pushed back. The nut that holds this emergency brake bracket right here on was gone. It had come off. So luckily we saw that while we were doing that. So we got both of those emergency brake cables pulled over away from the wheels tires. The other side had got into the tire as well. Got that nut put back on this. Just kind of going through and touching up little things that we're finding. Just the more miles we put on it, the more stuff we're kind of, we find, of course. You guys saw me yesterday working on the windshield wipers. I'm going to show Dad here in a minute kind of what those are doing, and let's make a decision on, are they even worth kind of keeping going, or do we just need to get some good Rain-X and maybe hopefully it doesn't rain. But I'm going to show him those here in a minute and let him see what you guys have already seen, and we'll go from there and figure out what we're going to do there. He's up front right now going just nut and bolting the front end again, probably looking at a place so he can mount the horns, because we've got the horns right over there. We need to get those mounted and get those wired in. Shouldn't be no big deal, the wires are already there, just need to connect them. So a lot of little stuff here that we're just wrapping up. Let's see what we can get done today, and then we're gonna call it good for this video for today. So because it's got to be out tomorrow. We're running a little close on videos this week. So I'm gonna head and figure out what we're gonna finish up on this, and then call it good on this video. So let's see what happens with the windshield wipers next. We've talked about it before, but this truck gets pretty darn hot in the cab. One of Dad's good friends, Dale, he had some leftover dynamite that he had kind of used on some projects, and we think there's enough here for us to kind of at least help with the heat situation in the cab. One being up in the headliner itself. Now you guys saw a long time ago now. It seems like a really long time ago. It was like the second or third video we ever did with this truck. We pulled the headliner out of it, and when we did, we found that monstrous rat's nest that was sitting right here in the center. And that headliner, what you doing? Okay. That headliner had actually drooped a little. Subtle adjustments. That headliner had actually drooped a little bit right here, and that rat's nest was sitting right there. And when we pulled the headliner out, we were really hoping that the cab would just be a nice smooth, whoa, that's awful. A nice smooth metal, but it's not. It has some sound deadener insulation that had been put in here at some point. Well, this stuff is like morphed and bonded to this roof. You can see how it's not really, it's like actually stuck and glued still. So getting that off is an absolute hassle. I tried to, you can go back and watch that video, like I said, it feels like forever ago now. I tried to even take a putty knife and scrape it, and it just kind of come off in little chunks. It's really just going to make way more of a mess than it's really worth. But we bought a brand new headliner. As you can see, those two pieces there. Bought a brand new headliner for this thing. I looked at that the other day and said, I don't need to do that. I'm going to take the Dynamat and stick it straight to the headliner and then put the headliner up in place. And then it'll be the metal, an air gap, then this thick Dynamat. This is the Dynamat we're going to use up there. It's kind of the thick foam. There'll be that, and then the headliner, and then it'll be us. That should insulate it as good or better than anything else. So I'm going to pull the sun visors back out. Dad had stuck some sun visors in here. I'm going to pull those back out. I'm going to get this kind of just held up in place, figure out kind of what it looks like, so I can figure out where I can put the Dynamat and it not interfere with how it actually mounts up into the cab itself. So I got that pulled out. I'm gonna get in here. I'm gonna get these headliners or the sun visors pulled out, get that stuck up in place, and kind of figure that out. I think this is gonna make a big difference in this truck. We've also got some of the thin Dynamat that you kind of put on the firewalls and stuff that I'm gonna put on the firewalls, because really the firewall is what gets the hottest of any surface in here. So I'm gonna do that later. Probably won't be in this video. I'm hoping to at least get this headliner in and maybe the Dynamat in place, maybe, for this episode. All right, we just finished up filming the podcast, getting ready for that, so I've got to go home and get that edited. I also have to get this video edited to make sure that it's out for Friday. We kind of run out of time, to be honest. We didn't get as much done on this truck as we wanted to, but the big thing was Matt getting that thing tuned, and it made a huge difference. Dad claims at least 50 horsepower. He feels like, at least by the seat of his pants, the old seat of the pants dynamometer. Anyway, so make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and make sure to click that subscribe button when it pops up in the middle. Power Tour's coming soon. My plan is to put out a video each day of the 5 days of Power Tour. Let's see how that works out. Hopefully, if everything goes good, or I've got enough good stuff to film, maybe some interviews with some of the guys that are coming with us, and maybe some people who we don't even know. That'd be really cool. So make sure you stick around. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all that. It's going to be a good time. We'll see you guys next time.